I didn't realize I was unwanted until I saw the chair. Not inside the ballroom, not near the stage, not even in the back row. My name was taped to a folding chair beside the service exit, where staff rolled carts of dishes and trash bags brushed against the wall. The smell of flowers mixed with disinfectant, sweet and sharp at the same time. Through the glass doors, music floated out, soft and romantic, the kind meant for first dances and happy tears. My sister's wedding had already begun. My mother stood near the entrance in silk heels, smoothing imaginary wrinkles from her dress. My father pretended to check his phone. No one said anything. No one explained. I held the gift bag tighter in my hands, adjusted my deep red dress, and did what I'd been trained to do my whole life. I stayed quiet. But something inside me shifted. I stood up, walked past the folding chairs, and stepped outside into the cold Vermont air. 7 minutes later, the music inside stopped, and someone screamed. The resort sat beside a lake so still it looked unreal, like a photograph instead of water. Tall pine trees framed the building, and soft lights glowed from every window. My sister, Maya, had chosen this place because it looked expensive without trying too hard, the kind of venue people brag about online afterward. White flowers climbed the stair railings, candlelight bounced off crystal centerpieces. Everything shimmered. Everything except me. I had driven nearly 4 hours from Boston alone, replaying my mother's text again and again in my head. Please don't make today difficult. This day is about your sister. That sentence had followed me my entire life. Growing up, Maya was the story everyone told. Her piano recitals, her cheer competitions, her scholarships. My achievements were footnotes, things mentioned only if someone else asked. Teachers praised me, relatives complimented my grades. My parents nodded politely and changed the subject back to Maya. She just needs more attention, Mom used to say. Dad called me low maintenance, like I was a car that never broke down. What neither of them ever said was what I already knew. I was convenient, the kind of child who learned early not to need much, the kind who learned silence before confidence. 3 years earlier, during Thanksgiving, I'd stumbled across something that finally explained everything. Mom had asked me to grab an old recipe notebook from her bedroom drawer. Instead, I found a leather-bound journal. It was worn soft at the edges, clearly handled often. I flipped it open without thinking. Every page began the same way. Maya's first haircut, Maya's first school play, Maya's favorite color, Maya's college acceptance letter. There were years of entries. Not one line about me. Not my birthday, not my graduation, not my name. When I asked Mom about it, she laughed softly, like I'd misunderstood something silly. You never needed the attention, she said. You were always fine. That night, lying awake in my childhood bedroom, I realized something painful. There's a difference between being overlooked and being erased. That memory followed me as I walked toward the ballroom entrance on my sister's wedding day. Through the glass doors, I saw her laughing under soft lights, white gown glowing, veil pinned perfectly in place. Our parents stood beside her, smiling proudly for photos. She glanced up and saw me. Her smile didn't change, but her eyes did. She looked through me, not at me, the way people do when they recognize a face but can't place the name. Then the wedding coordinator stopped me. "Miss Carter?" she asked, flipping through her clipboard. "Yes?" Her smile faltered. "Oh, you're assigned to exterior seating." I blinked. "I think that's a mistake." She shook her head gently. "No, ma'am, your name's listed here." She pointed. A single folding chair sat near the service hallway, beside stacked bins and metal carts. Not even at a table, just there. For a moment, I honestly thought I might laugh. Then I realized no one was joking. I walked over slowly and set my gift bag beside the chair. Through the glass, I watched guests hugging, laughing, raising glasses. Inside, everything looked warm, alive. Out here, the hallway air was cold. I told myself what I'd always told myself. It's fine. You don't need them. This doesn't matter. But my chest felt tight. Because even if I didn't need them, they didn't have the right to treat me like I didn't exist. Staff members passed by with carts of glasses and trays of food. Every time the door swung open, I caught glimpses of chandeliers, dancing shadows, and my mother's hand resting on Maya's arm like a seal of approval. Then the laughter changed. I looked up. Maya was walking toward me. Her bouquet hung loosely from her fingers. Her veil trailed behind her. Her smile was relaxed, too relaxed, the kind she wore when she already knew she'd won. She stopped just before the doorway. "Well," she said casually, glancing at the chair beside me, "guess they finally figured out where to put you." I frowned. What's that supposed to mean? She tilted her head, studying me like something mildly disappointing. Some people belong in the spotlight, some people don't. I stared at her. "You're serious?" She smiled wider. "Relax, it's not personal." "It feels personal." She shrugged. "Everything feels personal to you." Behind her, someone inside called her name. "Bride, we need you for photos." She didn't move. She wanted a reaction. She always did. "You know, you've always been sensitive. Mom says you take things too seriously." My throat tightened. "I put you outside." "Don't be dramatic. It's just seating. Next to the trash." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, you'll survive." Something inside me snapped. Not loudly, not violently, but cleanly, like a string pulled too tight, finally giving way. "I've survived everything," I said quietly. "That doesn't mean it didn't hurt." Her expression changed. "Why do you always do this? Why can't you just be happy for me? Why does everything have to turn into some emotional problem?" "Because you made sure I wasn't even in the room. That's not nothing." She crossed her arms. "You always twist things. Maybe that's why Mom says you're difficult." That word hit harder than I expected. Difficult. The label they'd used my whole life when I noticed unfairness instead of ignoring it. "I'm not difficult. I'm honest. You just don't like that." She laughed sharply. "You're unbelievable. This is my wedding day and somehow you're still trying to make it about you." "I'm not asking for attention. I'm asking for a chair." She stared at me for a moment, then smiled in a way that felt colder than anger. "You know what?" she said. "Some people just don't natter in big moments. That's life." Then she turned and walked away. Just like that. I stood there long after the door closed behind her. My hands were shaking, not from anger, but from something quieter and heavier. Grief. Not for the wedding, for the realization that she had never planned to treat me differently. Not today. Not ever. I reached down and picked up the gift bag. Inside was a small silver box tied with white ribbon. I'd spent hours choosing it. Now I slipped it into my purse instead. If they didn't want me inside, fine, but I wasn't giving them something they didn't deserve. Not anymore. 3 weeks earlier, something unexpected had happened. I'd run into one of Maya's old coworkers at a cafe near my office. We recognized each other, exchanged small talk, and decided to sit together. Halfway through lunch, she hesitated, then said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Is your sister always like that?" "Like what?" She leaned closer. "Cruel when she thinks no one's listening." My stomach tightened. She pulled out her phone. "I shouldn't show you this," she said, "but I think you deserve to know." She showed me screenshots, messages Maya had sent to friends, about her fiancé, about how easy he was to manipulate, how she cried on command to get what she wanted, how she planned to secure the house, the money, and his last name before he realized who she really was. One message stood out. "He's sweet but clueless. A few tears and I own everything." My coffee went cold. I hadn't planned to do anything with that information. I just saved it. Standing in the hallway outside the ballroom, something inside me settled. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. I walked back toward the gift table near the entrance. The wedding coordinator was distracted with flower arrangements. No one noticed as I placed the silver box neatly among the others. Inside the box was a crystal frame. Beneath it, a folded note and printed screenshots. Dates, names, proof. Not revenge, truth. Then I straightened my dress, turned around, and walked out. The night air was sharp and clean. The lake reflected the lights of the building like broken stars. Somewhere inside, applause rose as the couple took the dance floor. I didn't look back. I reached my car, closed the door, and let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for years. As I started the engine, I whispered, "Let it end." Inside the ballroom, everything looked perfect. Maya glowed in white silk. Her fiancé, Daniel, held her hand, smiling wide. Guests raised glasses. The band played softly. Someone suggested opening a few gifts early for photos. She laughed and reached for the silver box. The ribbon slid free. The lid lifted. Her smile froze. "What's this?" she said. Daniel leaned closer. The note slipped out. His eyes scanned the first page, then the second, then the third. One line stood out. "He's so easy to handle. Cry a little and he signs anything." The music faltered. Someone missed a note. "What is this?" Maya snapped. "Who sent this?" Daniel didn't answer. He just kept reading. More messages, more dates, more proof. Her color drained. "This isn't real," she said. "Someone made this up." Across the room, Daniel's mother had noticed the shift in energy. She walked over slowly, calm and composed. "These were forwarded to me this morning from your stylist. Apparently, you sent them to the wrong group chat." Maya's hands began to shake. "That's not possible." Daniel's voice was low. "It is." He turned the final page. "A house by Christmas, then I'm free." A gasp rippled through the guests. Phones came out, whispers spread. Maya lunged for the papers. "You can't show people that." His mother stepped between them. "You showed it yourself." That's when Maya screamed, not loud at first, more like breath ripped from her chest. "No, you don't understand. He's lying. She did this. My sister did this." Daniel looked sharply. "Your sister didn't write these messages. She planted them. She's always jealous. She's—" "Stop." The word cut through the room. "You humiliated her today, and you thought no one would ever see who you really are." The music stopped completely. Silence swallowed the ballroom. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Maya turned toward our parents. "Do something." My mother stood frozen, glass shaking in her hand. My father stared at the floor. Neither spoke. Daniel reached into his jacket and pulled out folded papers. "I already spoke to a lawyer. This is an annulment petition." Maya stared at the document like it was alive. "You can't do this to me." "I'm not," he said quietly. "You did." Her voice broke. "You're ruining my life." "No," he said. "You did that." Someone dropped a glass. Crystal shattered across the floor. "She's behind this. My sister did this." Daniel's mother looked at her calmly. "The only thing your sister did was tell the truth." Outside, I sat in my car. The engine hummed softly. Through the windows of the ballroom, I saw movement, shadows, hands, bodies turning toward something breaking inside. Then I heard it, a scream, sharp, high, echoing across the lake. Then silence. I closed my eyes, not in victory, in release. Inside, Maya collapsed into a chair, mascara streaking down her face. "You'll regret this," she shouted. Daniel turned away. "No," he said quietly. "You will." He walked out. His mother followed. Guests parted like water. My mother rushed toward Maya. "Sweetheart, let's go outside." "Don't touch me," she cried. "You all wanted this. You never loved me enough." My father spoke for the first time that night. "You should apologize to your sister." The room froze. Maya laughed bitterly. "Apologize to her? She's nothing." My father shook his head slowly. "That's not true." And he walked away. By the time staff began cleaning shattered glass from the floor, Maya sat alone beneath the chandelier. Her dress was wrinkled. Her bouquet lay on the ground. The room that once adored her now avoided her eyes. She never saw me. I was already gone. I drove through the night. By the time I reached Boston, the sky was pale gray. My phone buzzed endlessly in the cup holder. 12 missed calls from Mom, 4 from Dad, 1 unknown number. I didn't answer. Silence felt like safety. When I stepped into my apartment, it smelled like rain and coffee. I kicked off my shoes, hung my dress on the chair, and stared at it. Still perfect, untouched, like armor I hadn't known I'd been wearing. My phone buzzed again. "Please answer, we didn't know." That was Mom. She always said that. We didn't know. But she had. Every time she told me to stay quiet. Every time she laughed at Maya's cruelty. Every time she said, "You're fine." I placed the phone face down, opened my laptop, pulled up a map. I booked a cabin by the water in a town I'd never visited. A week of silence sounded like healing. That morning, I stepped onto my balcony. The city smelled clean. The sun sliced through buildings in gold and shadow. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel invisible. I felt finished. Finished waiting. Finished shrinking. Finished asking people who didn't see me to finally try. At my sister's wedding, I was seated beside trash bins. Today, I'm sitting beside a river. Same silence, different meaning. Before, it was humiliation. Now, it's peace. Sometimes the loudest revenge isn't shouting, it's leaving. They thought I'd always stay. They thought I'd always bend. They thought I'd always wait. I don't. I build my own table now, and I finally sit where I belong.